Okay, we're good to start. Okay, I'll try and speak without. Can everyone hear me okay without the microphone? Yeah, save us going in and out, it's a bit more awkward. Okay, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you sticking around to talk about solar. I know we've had a little insight already tonight. Hopefully I can give you a bit more information and we can make some good decisions about going solar for our business. I do apologise in advance, I'm not obviously Todd Sampson, I haven't climbed Everest, but I do know a lot about solar, so hopefully at least I can give you some information that you're going to find very useful. There is a bit more information in these slides than we'll get through in 15 minutes, okay? Please, I promise you that isn't just poor preparation. You will have copies of these slides afterwards to be able to go through, supplied by Ringer Council, so there's some information in there you can use as a reference to go back to. So if we do skim over a few points, you will have that information, and also we'll have time for questions at the end, so we can always pop back and discuss them. All right? So what we're going to talk about. Okay, so the main things we see when we're speaking with clients about solar systems for small, medium enterprise are much the same kind of discussions you have with any product being purchased by a small company. We talk about not really having time to look into solar at the moment. It's quite a long process. I don't know who to speak to. Not being able to afford to go into solar at the moment. We haven't got the spare cash. We've got other things to spend our money on at the moment. And just more, it's a minefield out there. They're not really sure what we're looking at. We're not sure who to speak to or what it is we're meant to be understanding. Okay, to try and address some of that, we're going to quickly talk about, first of all, the solar system. Just very quickly how solar works, how it goes on. The importance of tailoring the system for your business. That's something really close to my heart. Product selection, we're going to very briefly touch on as well. We'll also look at the financials, all the financial.
Microphone working, cool. Sorry,
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yep, yeah, it's fine. All right, cheers. And the financials, we're going to go through the financials, what incentives are still available to you, and obviously how you can fund your system. And we've got a working example locally that's been installed next week. A much smaller example than the $2 million one we looked at in there, so hopefully it'll be relevant for you guys. And then we're going to recap on why we should go solar. Just have a look at what we talked about. Okay. So, basic solar system, we're not going to talk about the physics of solar tonight and how it all works, electricity and DC and AC. The main point we want to talk about is that self-consumption is the goal with solar systems now. The days are long gone where we used to want to put loads of solar panels on our roof and sell energy back to the grid and they'd pay us loads of money for it. They don't do that anymore. They don't really give us any money for it whatsoever. So the key for a solar system is to be using the system that we're producing electricity from. Okay, you'll notice, I'm sorry this is a little bit smaller than expecting the storage comment down there. Hands up, is anybody who wants to talk about storage, batteries, Tesla tonight? Okay, I'll happily speak to you afterwards. I do apologise, we won't have time to talk about storage within this presentation. One of the main reasons being storage is going to be a huge part of our future in this country. It will be. Right now, solar is part of our present. Okay, we're still a fair way off, and I'm happy to go through numbers with you for storage being viable for the majority of businesses, whereas solar certainly is very, very viable right now. Okay, and I'm happy to discuss that in more detail afterwards, but it is a whole other discussion that we'll need to have. All right. So system tailoring. As I said, we're trying to consume all the energy we produce with the solar system. Okay. So a commercial solar system is not an off-the-shelf product. The amount of times I hear from clients we deal with who they've spoken to a solar salesperson or someone talking to them about solar, have mentioned, oh, John down the road's got a 20 kilowatt system. That's perfect for businesses. Everyone wants a 20 kilowatt system. We're doing a special on 20 kilowatts this month. Okay, that's absolute rubbish. Okay, just because John has a 20 kilowatt system doesn't mean it's going to suit your business. One of the key parts to solar, to getting the best returns you can, that we look at, the key is to be looking at tailoring that system towards your usage patterns. Okay, and to do that you need to have a consultation. You need to speak to somebody. Now, in our industry, we are very aware there's a lot of marketing companies out there, cold callers, trying to sell you solar panels, cheap solar panels, the best solar panels, and this can push people away from making these decisions, okay? But I can assure you now there is a lot of very, very good companies out there, especially locally as well, who can supply very good quality products. With these people, you need to be sitting down and having the discussion. Okay, I'll put a little table in there of things that obviously you'll need to provide information on your usage and what you're planning to do with your business. This conversation will save you a lot of time and money. I promise you that. We see time and time again, people don't want to have the engagement. They're concerned about a high pressure sale situation. And you'll receive 5 or 6 different quotes or proposals from different solar companies. completely different proposals, and you won't understand why they're differing and what they're trying to offer you. And generally that results in a decision not being made at all. Okay, so I can assure you this consultation is very important for you, and certainly there's no need to buy anything at this discussion. Okay, anyone who comes to you and tries to sell you a solar system for your business, the first time they sit down and speak to you are not the company you want to be dealing with anyway. Okay, because they'll take your information away and they'll analyse it for you. Okay. I did say we'd have to skim a couple of slides. Products, you have this information, like I say, on your USBs, and I know it's something a lot of people like to talk about, the products. I have highlighted one point here. A strong service support presence in Australia is key. So above all else, we can talk about which products are better than this products, the efficiencies, and so on and so on. If you're going to be buying products for a system you're going to have for 25 years, then the key is to have, whether they're manufactured in Australia or not, do they have a strong presence in Australia? Do they have offices in Sydney? Do they have a support network? When we support service partners for many of the manufacturers, do they have that behind them? Okay, and that's something we can quite easily look into. Government incentives. Okay, I'm hoping to raise a couple of eyebrows in the room. I'm not sure people know about the government incentives, what's still out there. There is still substantial government incentives available to us. With all the media coverage, we tend to believe that there's not much out there anymore, and there's not, no one's really helping, so the government aren't helping. Well, actually, STCs are still available for any system up to 100 kilowatt. Okay, and STCs are proportional to how much energy you're going to be offsetting, how much energy you produce in the system. Okay, so if, for an example, at the moment on the Northern Beaches around here, or anywhere in New South Wales, the average 30 kilowatt solar system, okay, will be eligible for approximately $24,000 in STC discounts. Okay, that's approximately 35 to 40% of the system cost. Okay, and that is still the case right now. Okay, and they're systems we're selling all the time. Okay, a lot of people are quite surprised by that, but there is still substantial rebates there. Okay, most solar retailers will offer this rebate as a point of sale discount. So they'll trade these certificates on your behalf, and they will just offer that off your initial price you pay for the system. So you'll never actually pay that extra $24,000. We have large-scale technology certificates, which is for systems over 100 kilowatt. We've looked at a larger scale system in the main room there, so we're not going to look into that right now. I'm happy to discuss if somebody's looking at systems of that size, then we can discuss that later on, no problem. And there's accelerated depreciation, which is not a solar-specific saving or benefit or initiative to do this. This is something that was introduced in the recent budget for small businesses of how you can claim back. It's something to speak to your accountant about. Purchases for a business under $20,000 can be eligible for accelerated depreciation. Okay. This graph hasn't come up too well on there, unfortunately. I'm not going to talk too much about it. This is just an infographic from AMP. Obviously, AMP are a huge company. Just showing the returns on investment of solar compared to the other investments you can make with your money. This is from AMP. This is not from us. They have only got 5.3 for the 1,000 units. The Northern Beaches capital growth probably bumps that up a little bit at the moment, but hopefully that comes down. But you can see nothing really comes close to the actual returns you get for solar. And this is real. This isn't something that I've just put together. This is real. This is from AMP. Okay. Okay, on to our example. So we're moving along okay. This is for a system. Can you see these figures at the back? Can you see those at all? Zoom in a little bit. I'll just bear with me. I'm not that computer literate, but I will give it a go. There we go. So we're looking at a system in Manly. This is a cafe that's been installed next week. Okay, much smaller. This is a particularly small system. Okay, it's only a 10 kilowatt system. It's part of a larger system on this property. There's 6 systems on this development, of which one is a cafe. It's a 10 kilowatt system. Okay, along with the owner, because they haven't moved in yet, we took information from another cafe the owner owned. We took information from the load that was being installed, the units, what electricity was putting into this site. And we also took, when I zoom out, I'll show you a graph on the left, some data, some modelling we had from a very similar cafe down in Melbourne earlier in the year. So we pulled all that information together, okay, and we come up with the figures that he was going to be consuming 148 kilowatt hours a day on average per day. Okay, of that 448 kilowatt hours, 42% would be consumed due what we call generation hours. So this is while the sun's shining on the panels and we generate electricity. That's quite a conservative figure. Probably is a bit higher than that, but we're going on a conservative level. He's operating 7 days a week. He's actually paying a very low, we were surprised how low this was, he's paying 18 cents per kilowatt hour on average during that generation period. We've allowed a little bit for feed-in tariff that might go back to the grid that they may or may not give us, and an estimated energy price increase of about 2.5% a year. So that was the input for this system from the he gave us. The system size, we could have gone slightly larger, but because you see on the next slide there was multiple sites using this roof, we were eligible to put 10 kilowatts on there. So this is a 9.54 kilowatt system. It was about $15,500. We allowed a small amount for maintenance, and it would produce 41 kilowatt hours per day. They'll be using 98% of that generated electricity, which is fantastic. Okay. So the benefits of that for the owner, they'll be offsetting their solar by 28%. So 28% of energy will be coming from the solar system, which is fantastic. The payback period, I'll touch on in a minute, of 5.5 years. You're paying it off in 5 years. And a net present value, which we spoke of briefly in there, so the value to them in real money terms, this $15,000 investment was $29,312. Internal rate of return, so the return was 19%. Now, we haven't picked this example by any stretch of the imagination because it's out of the ordinary or particularly good returns. We see returns under 5 years almost every week. Certainly we see returns from 19% up to 26, 27%. In the small, medium business, the returns are huge. This is real. This is why I want to bring this to your attention today, so you can actually hear me say it. One thing we do try and move away from a little bit is, as was mentioned previously, 5.5 years. Okay, so the 5.5 years is great. We all need to know how long it will take to pay something back. We accept that. It is still something we like to use. But if you look at this graph here, you'll notice the break-even point is here somewhere. So we all worry about this little section here. Okay, we all worry about when the break-even point is. As you look at the other side of the graph, okay, if it's 5 years, if it's 6 years, if it's 4 years, obviously we'd rather pay it off quicker. But the huge part of the benefit is actually coming after that point. Now these panels come with 25-year warranty. Most our inverters have 10 years warranty and can live 15, 20 years. So there's huge savings to be made past that point. That's why we like to try and work with this figure as much as we can as well. It just shows how good an investment it really is. The other reason we did pick this example, which I did touch on, was because there's a tenant-landlord relationship in here. I'm not sure if there's anyone in the room who is obviously leasing their premises for their business. It's very common, obviously a lot more common than homeowners. People generally lease their business. This can obviously look as a stumbling block for people to not go ahead. Well, why would I be leasing? I could be out in 4 or 5 years. I might not be here. Will the building owner let me? We actually engage both parties in this situation. So the cafe owner had a 6+ 6 year lease. He said, okay, I'm probably going to go ahead anyway. I'm happy with it. But if I did leave after 6 years, I've only really broken even. You know, I think the building owner should come to the party on this. So because we've done the analysis and the figures are there, and the figures can be trusted, we can sit down with both parties, the tenant and the landowner, or the property owner, apologise, and discuss the benefits to both. In this instance, the outcome was, because everyone was comfortable with the benefits that were there, that the landlord actually paid for the system outright. And he just had an adjustment on the premium of the lease agreement with the tenant, the cafe owner, which was less than what he was going to save on his energy. He was happy, because he was paying a bit more in lease, but he was saving even more on his energy. The building owner was happy because he was paying off that system year by year and he's going to have it for the next 25 years, and his tenant's happy and he's going to find it easier to get tenants again next time as well. So that was just one solution. There's many other solutions for that with the tenant-landlord scenario. It certainly isn't a large stumbling block and it's something we can definitely overcome. Again, it's that conversation between the three parties, your solar installer, supplier, the tenant and the landlord. Funding options, we was touched on briefly before. Luckily our slides are exactly the same, so that was quite helpful. Upfront purchase is actually still probably the most common form of payment we still see, surprisingly. Some people have capital in their business and they want to put that capital back into their business, and at 20% returns, well, what else would they invest back into their business with? Leasing and finance, I have the little graphic to the right here, the same we spoke about in the main room there. Leasing and finance, 90% of our clients, 90% of guys we work with, can be cash flow positive from day one with a leasing finance option. It's not uncommon at all. I say at least 90%. Okay, and that's over generally a 5 to 7 year leasing period that we would go for. That's no deposit or money down. So the point from that being, I'm trying to go back to the discussion we're having, is everybody can afford to actually go solar. And the PPA, power purchase agreements, which we touched on. in the other room as well. They are an option for people, power purchase agreements. We don't really get involved in them too much, but they are an option. The system, as you said, is installed on your property and you just pay for the energy it's produced. The only thing to be slightly careful with the PPAs is most of the ones I've come across before, they charge on the amount of energy that's generated by the system, not necessarily what you've used. So again, it comes back full circle to where we talked at the beginning about system tailoring. If that PPA system is a bit too big or you're closing down for 2 weeks, you could still be paying for that energy it's producing even though you're not using it. Okay, just something to bear in mind. Okay, so the recap. We had reasons to turn to solar energy. Okay, so you can be saving money from day one with no capital expense. We don't actually need any capital money to go solar and start saving straight away. It's possible. And still after that 5-7 year period, your savings are going to skyrocket. Okay, there's unrivaled returns on investment. There is nothing at the moment to invest the money with such good returns on your cash. Marketing potential. You've already seen tonight from Blackmore's and Cole Crawford. The marketing potential for them tonight already. And we all know that Mandy Daly loves a good news story. So I'm sure if anyone in the room had their solar installed, the Mandy Daly would be more than happy to just put it in the paper. It's not difficult to do. Now I know I have gone quite quickly through some slides. I've talked quite quickly and we've covered a bit of information. But I hope you can see that the crux of it is that there is real benefits there. And if you just have the right discussions with somebody, it isn't that difficult to do. Okay? We have to start looking after the world, which is a big theme at the moment. That's what we're all here for tonight at the end of the day. I mean, obviously this is a business to us, but we are here to look after the world, and it does make great business sense. It does make sense for us to do it, so why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we go ahead and do it? Just have the conversation before you pay another bill. That's all I ask. Have the conversation with somebody, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else. Just sit down and have the conversation before you hand more money over for your next energy bill, when you could be paying off your solar system. Okay? This is a little bit about who we are. I'm over time, I apologise, so we won't worry about that. You can have a look. Hopefully you will want to get in touch with us, but if we've got any questions, I'll be happy to take some questions for you now. Yeah?
I want to understand what happens in the business or house once you renovate?
So you want to remove the panels, you mean, to do the renovation work? Yeah, it can be done. It can be done, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, we've done it. It happens a lot at the moment. There's so many installs. People have been installing for 7-8 years now, really consistently. So we see it quite often. We come and remove panels and they get replaced. Because of course, you're looking for a cost implication to that. It's something roughly around the $1,000 mark. Obviously, it depends on the size of your system. If you've got 6 panels, it's going to cost a certain amount of money. If you've got 50 panels, it's going to cost a certain amount of money. But it does happen every day. People are doing it. Sorry, the guys just don't.
At this point in time, have the panels reached their optimal efficiency, or is there more development you will get to deny?
In my opinion, the answer to the question would be yes. That they will keep increasing their efficiency. We're about 22 point somewhere at the moment. We've got to creep to. Yeah, cheers. We've creeped up to about the low 20s at the moment. I believe we're at. It is a creep, and what you'll find with the efficiency, and I think it was touched on earlier in the other room, we're at a point now where the technology can't really get any cheaper. And people say they're waiting for it to get cheaper. It can't really get any cheaper. So the efficiency side of it, it will creep, but at the moment, for that efficiency, it really only relates back to if we're struggling for area and space. Because when you're at the top end, so if I come to you and said, oh, we've got a panel that's 1% more efficient than the best panel at the moment, the premium for that would actually be meaning per watt you're paying, you pay more for it because it's an extreme product. So unless you're actually short of roof space and you haven't got enough space to get what you need, that investment in that slight improvement really isn't warranted. Let them progress, and we do want them to progress, and it will get better and better. But really, the cost level is slightly below that. Let these guys, move forward with this more bespoke stuff, and let us concentrate on stuff with really good value for everybody else and still really good product. Does that make sense?
Given the number of home businesses on all the beaches and the older buildings that people might be renting or own businesses in, do you come across many times buildings that are just not suitable, the structure can't take the weight?
That's a really good question. It's a really good question. And I hope doesn't put people off. Certainly there is buildings that aren't suitable, there is. But you'd be surprised nowadays with what initiatives we have to actually make most buildings very, very suitable. So any building that's really built in the last 50 years are designed to take about 25 kilos per square metre on top of them, which is less than a solar panel anyway. So there is certainly commercial, there is certainly routes we have to look at. We have got engineers we use, structural engineers we deal with, and we need to be careful. We all need to be careful. But also with roofs, if I can touch on from that question, we also need a north-facing roof, or we need particular angles where we need to go. One of our best installations we do is generally an east-west installation. Because east, I'm not going to go too technical here, but for an east-west installation, you're actually extending how much sun you're getting through the day. You're not peaking in the middle of the day. You're not using it, you're extending it out. So, not exactly a question for structure, but certainly for suitability of roofs, there's a lot more options than you would think actually at the moment. And what we find, obviously, as I say, east-west can often be a preferred solution to a north-facing for a lot. It comes back to tailoring. It comes back to what we've had a bakery recently. They start early in the morning. Their panels all faced east because that's when they're using their energy. They were home by 3 o'clock, which is nice. Okay, we have one. Yeah.
I'm Mary from the Council. That was a really good presentation. I think bringing the example where renters can put solar on is something really that can progress solar to a whole range of uses. So I thought that was an excellent example.
It certainly isn't a barrier if you are leasing your property.
Can we thank you?